You're listening to Forever Fierce with Catherine Grace O'Connell, only on LA Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone from sunny California. I am Catherine Grace O'Connell. I'm your host today of the Forever Fierce Show. And first, I want to start by thanking our amazing sponsor today, Madison Reed, a company that I'm personally aligned with and my mission is dearly aligned with. A company that I believe in and a company that is there to really instill confidence in a woman. So it's a hair color products company, but it's so much more than that. And the theme of this confidence is really going to be carried through in our conversation today. We have an amazing co-host and an amazing guest. So we'll get back to Madison Reed and what that company is all about. But first, I want to introduce our co-host over here, the shy guy, David Harry Stewart.
Hey, Kat. It's me coughing in the background.
Chugging a little Diet Coke, get some more energy. David Harry Stewart is one of the founders of a company called Ageist, a company that couldn't be more aligned with me, my mission. David and I are here to help you guys see a new, very cool and empowered frame around midlife. Welcome, David.
Hey, great to be here.
And sitting to the left of me here is a rock star of a woman, and the reason I wore long sleeves today. Love it. My friend and Forever Fierce member, sister, Julie Diamond. Julie Diamond is the creator of Julie Diamond Fitness, her own, creation herself in her own fitness ways. She is an amazing role model to women at midlife and beyond. Welcome, Julie. We're delighted to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm thrilled to be here. So excited.
Well, we're just going to dive in. This show is all about making midlife cool and placing a new frame on midlife. And before we enter this room in here, we always have a very interesting conversation. David's looking at me like, huh? There's a little greeting room out there that you guys haven't seen here at LA Talk Radio. And in that room, we have some amazing conversations with our guests before they walk on. And today's guest, Julie Diamond Fitness, she is an incredible role model. She's a role model in the world of physical fitness, but she's so much more than that. She's a role model in the world of really being an amazing human being. A woman, at midlife, most of us have hit some kind of bumps in life and had to really dive deeply into our inner world and those inner resources, and Julie's one of these people. So I cannot wait to share Julie's story and really share it from a space of all the amazing things that she's had to overcome in her life. But the truth is, still overcoming them, right, Julie?
Absolutely. I think with every decade presents a new set of obstacles, but we can look at them different. They're going to present a new set of struggles, but then in the struggle, we have to always think about as one door closes, another one opens.
It sure does. And the theme of this month is a new year and a fierce new you. And David certainly represents a man who is out there in his own way, really showing the world an incredibly fierce way to go about life. And Julie, we talked earlier today about the comparison game. So even though today is about a new year and a fierce new you, and physical fitness, health and wellness is a huge part of it, but a big part of that really starts on the inside, doesn't it? It starts with our mind. A fierce new you begins with expanding our mindset about our possibilities, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you make a decision about where you want to be and what you want to do. And I think with fitness, you make that decision that, this is hard, this is uncomfortable, but really you're training as an athlete for probably the most grueling event that anyone does, which is getting older. And that requires a lot of effort and a lot of focus, and it's hard, but the payoff is you get to have this vivid, vital life for a long time.
You're training for the game of life, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, it's when you're young, you're training to look good on the beach, Okay? That's the way
That's
it
just
is.
the plain truth, right?
That's the way it is.
And
But-
that
but now-
society puts that on us.
It's a different gig now.
It's a different gig now.
You know, now you're training to maintain muscle mass, to keep your bones strong, to stay flexible, to stay functional. Because, you know, the thing that's going to kill you later in life is you're going to fall over and you're going to break your hip, or you're not going to have the muscle mass, or, you know, the visceral fat around your liver is just going to be too much and you're, you know, game over. So it takes a lot of work. It's hard.
Yeah.
It does take
absolutely.
a lot of work and mindset. So
Yeah.
Julie Diamond, like I said, that she's the creator of Julie Diamond Fitness, but she's the creator of so much more than that. The creator of really overcoming some huge obstacles in life. So I really want to go back to how you began, you know, as a child, and you saw your parents and what happened with your parents and their health and wellness. And you talk about their physical health and wellness, but you also talk about really how it affected their mindset and their mental health and wellness. And you lost your parents. And that led to your own fierce reinvention and finding a path transitioning from fashion to fitness. So I really want to start there and talk about what that was like for you and what that role modeled for you and the impact it had on you on the new path and trajectory you've taken.
Perfect. My parents got ill when I was in my early mid-20s. And they both got ill at the same time. So my 20s was basically a caretaker. And my mother died at 30. And it was not pretty. Watched a lot of suffering. And then my father, in turn, was sick on and off, mostly on through my 30s. And just watching what they could have done differently. Nutrition, exercise, and stress is big. And I did a lot of research and found out that really 10% of our disease comes from genes. 90% comes from lifestyle, environmentals. And that's what we have control over. We don't have control over the genes, but we have control over everything else. So I made the decision that I wanted to change my life and help change other people's lives as to the awareness of what we actually have the power to do. And these days we have so much more. I mean, we really push the mindset, the positive thinking, and we all get into that, you know, that spiral. I certainly have. Last year was a crazy year for me, and I could get into the spiral and try and, you know, the negative thought patterns. And you have to swing it around somehow.
Well, I think what's so empowering is when we were growing up, you know, we're all in our 50s. This is actually a room of midlifers. We have a couple of wonderful guests over there. But the truth is, this information wasn't out there then. We have so much more information now on everything from the power of nutrition, the power of what we put in our bodies, but also the power of the thoughts that we put in our bodies. And I know in my own life, I found that to be the most important thing. It really didn't matter. I can fill my body with all the healthy nutrition in the world, but if I top that with negative thought upon negative thought, and as women in our culture, that's sort of a tendency, the comparison game we talked
Absolutely,
about.
comparison game.
And then also, you know, we just have to build ourselves up from the inside out. And it's when we believe those things, isn't that the truth? So let's talk about the comparison game and those negative thoughts and that process for you.
That is very big in all of our lives, especially in our 50s. For me, being a personal trainer in the fitness world, health and wellness.
In the celebrity world,
Celebrity world, yes, and health coaching, which is what I'm doing now as well. I tend to sometimes look at what these millennials are doing in their 20s and 30s, and they're fabulous. It's great, and I compare myself. And I have to pull back and say, wait a second. These colleagues of mine are 20, 25 years younger than me, and it's a whole different ballgame. And I am going after a different audience. I'm not going to be doing jump squats like I used to. There's a lot of things that I won't do and I won't put on my clients.
I think that's really important. You can't compare yourself. I know we're both David has a wonderful ages community, and in that ages community, we were chatting about a gentleman in there who I believe is in his 50s, Larry Cornett, and he's jumping over trees and things, and we'll look at that and go, put ourselves down. Now I'm curious, we have a male and female perspective in this room. As a woman, we tend to get caught up in the comparison game just culturally by what's projected on us. If you are at the fitness center, David, are you comparing yourself to those men, or do you think differently? Like, how do men think?
I crush them.
You crush it. I mean, are you in that mindset?
That's
honestly,
confidence.
so that
I love
is
it.
okay. So let's talk about that. So you see somebody doing something amazing, and you don't go and put yourself down on the inside. You think there's a bar, now I can jump over that. Is that what you think?
No, I think my bar is higher. Sorry.
No, it's honest.
No
and it's
apologies.
great.
I
Well,
think that's what we
where-
need to hear.
yeah.
That's
You know,
what we need to hear.
I think that, what, I train for a different reason than they do. And, something that you mentioned earlier, it's like I can't control my genetics. I can't really control what this other stuff around, but what I can control is my effort.
Your effort and your attitude.
Exactly. So
And they're really hand in hand.
So that's what I can control. And so I interviewed Marlo Thomas over the summer, and she said, like, if you are reasonable about your circumstance, you will never get out of bed in the morning. So I'm not reasonable. Like, I'm really unreasonable. So my feeling is in the gym, I just can't. I can't run like I used to run. That's just not going to happen. I'm not.
So we have to be realistic.
You know your limits.
Right. Like
that's
I ran like a 4:48 mile once. That is not in the cards. But I'm stronger now than I've ever been in my life. So now I do pull-ups now with an 80-pound weight around my waist.
It was 70 last week, but who's counting?
Okay. I've gotten stronger.
In 1 week.
We got a bigger
I pay
weight.
attention.
Yeah.
Now that's mindset. That is
Well, it's-
mindset. That is your attitude.
And it's consistency. And it's saying, like,
That's key. Consistency is key.
Yeah, you can't just, like, I just couldn't go out and do that. When I started, I could do like 4 pull-ups because I injured my arm, and then you do a little more, a little more, a little more, and you have to like, one of the things that my trainer does for me is to modulate me, because
You don't hold yourself back. He has to.
He has to pull it back sometimes. He has to say, that's enough. We're going to stop now, because I won't stop.
Right.
And I think that the like we were talking, like, I used to go to Gold's. And
Love that.
Oh, Gold's Gym.
So,
yeah,
like,
good old Venice.
I'm
Gold's
sorry,
Gym.
I'm like a minnow
Arnold,
in that place.
Arnold.
It's
That's what I
there's
think
like
of.
there's like, I don't know, like half the gym is like professional athletes or Olympians. It's unbelievable.
Legendary.
It's unbelievable. But it's still, I know that, like, what I am doing for me, I'm 59, and I know where my physical stuff is at. I'm really happy about that, but that requires a lot of effort. And yeah, I compare myself to these other people, but it's like, I also know mentally I'm in a very, like, I don't want to be where I was when I was 25. I was out of my mind.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And we will get back to that, because I think it's really important. And I think, too, when you are 25, you have this sort of weird inner belief system in one way, but the other way it becomes so much more empowering at midlife, because it becomes a more real connection to your
Right.
your power. But what I love is sort of the yin and the yang here. I love the difference, and I love hearing a male perspective, because Julie, for women, I know it's been my experience, and I'm assuming you're in what you trained Zooey Deschanel and celebrities in the world of Hollywood, in a world that really is a comparison world. And as women, we already have that cultural
We do.
pressure projected onto us at all times. So I want to really get into that and get into your mindset. So when David says that, what comes up in you?
Main thing that comes up to me is that's where men and women do think very differently, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I am an identical twin, so I've been compared my entire life to her, and the quote that comes to mind for me is, comparison is the thief of joy. So once we really start comparing ourselves, there's a healthy way to compare yourself and an unhealthy way to compare yourself. When you're comparing yourself in a healthy way, you're looking at them like, go get them. That's
That's
great.
how David looks at them.
I want to do it. That's healthy. Women, on the other hand, we have a sense of comparison like, oh, I can't do that, or I don't look like that, or I wonder, I'm not good enough. And I'm not quite sure where that comes in and how it started, but that's where we need to change our mindset. And that's where coming together as a tribe and a community and helping each other is incredibly important.
It couldn't be more important. And what you just said is so important. You don't know where it comes from, but the truth is we kind of do. The advertising, the marketing, the cultural, right? What's really projected onto us as women. And if you look at marketing right now, it's we've had this conversation many times. It's very millennial focused. Clarisonic ads with 20-year-olds that don't have wrinkles. And so that puts you in a mindset, oh my God, I'm 56 years old. I got wrinkles out the wazoo, smile lines, I've earned them. But the truth is, we're supposed to look airbrushed, but we're not. What does that do to us? The thief of joy is what you said.
Right, and that's where we have to come into our own empowerment, because it's inevitable. We're going to start aging the second we're born, and we're going to continue to age. I train women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way up to their 80s, men as well, but I love training women. And one of the things I do is get them in their mind as to why they're doing that. They're not just doing this to look good. We're doing it to feel good. We're doing it for our health. We're doing it for that 90% that we do have control over.
Right, you said it's only 10%. And I remember when I was going through Lyme disease and I was being treated by an integrative MD, and she got my genetic profile and she looked at me and she said, "You have the genes nobody wants." I walked out. And here I am today. I stopped all that. But I decided in that moment I wasn't going to buy into what she told me. And how many times in our culture, be it male, female, there are so many times that, be it marketing, advertising, being something that we read, and that's something you fight in David, in your Aegis profile. You interview people all the time that are killing it. They're out there over 50. They have expansive mindsets, and they're not buying into what we're being sold, are they?
Well, I think it's a question of personal responsibility, and you own it, and your circumstance of going to see a doctor and telling you one thing. I was told I had to have my knees replaced at 30, but that didn't happen. But we take the responsibility to find the solution to the problem, and I think that this idea of this kind of hierarchical organization of knowledge, which I think was really typical maybe 35 years ago. The knowledge curve is flattened out now, so now we all have access to all kinds of information and people who can help us out. But it's up to us. It takes effort. You got to go out there and you've got to find the right message that works for you. You've got to find the right solution. We're all different. The food that works for you isn't necessarily going to work for me. The exercise program for you isn't really going to work for me.
Right, and I think that's so important. Julie came in with a bag of supplements and things that work for you and that potentially work for different clients. But again, one client something might work for, and the other client it might not work for, because we are all different. And in the end, like I said, there's so much more information out there that we didn't have when we were growing up. The truth is, we can only be as healthy as our cells, right? And nutrition is vitally important. So how does nutrition play a role? Obviously, we've talked about you, David, many times. I know it's a huge role in your life, but you live in a space of needing energy, massive amounts of energy to do what you do and to have your body really function optimally. So how does nutrition play into that?
That's a great question. Nutrition is, I usually say 85% of the game, but really it's 95% of the game. And going back to the comparison, the way I eat is very different from the way my twin sister eats. And like I said, we're identical twins. Taste comes into play as well. How your body absorbs certain nutrients comes into play. For me, I need to eat throughout the day. I need to continually fuel my body. The only thing I don't eat is red meat, not because I think it's bad for me. I think there are some people who really need red meat, but because I never liked it.
What I'm hearing is you're very in tune with listening to your body. And
that's what I push my clients to do. Listen to your body, because what David said, what's going to work for one person will not work for somebody else.
Well, how many of us are out there looking at marketing ads and jumping from one supplement to the next or one diet
to the next?
Exactly, and what does that do to us? So, David, what have you found? I know you start your day, you're a rock star, you go out there. We're a big fan of the Vitamix. We have our smoothies first thing in the morning. You put all kinds of gunk in there.
Vitamix.
But, it makes an enormous difference, and it starts your day.
My feeling on nutrition, it's, I interviewed this guy, Craig Cooper, once, and he said, it's about the big rock theory. So it's like if you got a bucket, right, and you want to fill it up, the first thing you do is you put the big rocks in. So the big rocks are, what are the base calories, and then what's the mix of the macros? What's the protein, fat, carbohydrate mix? Then when you eating these things, and then you can kind of fill in with the smaller stuff. But I think that I see people, they're like, they say, have this little thing in the morning or eat this pill thing together. And then it's like, okay, maybe, but let's talk about the big stuff first. Like, let's get that nailed down.
Real food.
Yeah, exactly.
Real whole food, right?
Let's figure out the big stuff first.
Everyone's always looking for that
magic
secret pill.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the secret? What supplement should I take? This is going to, cause my inflammation to go down. This is going to give me better looking skin. It's there's so much.
Yeah.
But by the same token, let's keep it simple, because I think one of the things that gets in people's way, complexity.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I found a system that changed my life, and I had a box, and I put it on social media when I was going through Lyme disease. It was a gigantic box, and I lugged this box around, and it had every freaking kind of supplement, and I was doing everything that I possibly could. But that process, you talk about the thief of joy, and I think if we make nutrition a chore, we spend so much time researching. It's pretty simple when it comes to the end. You listen to your body, and you listen to how it's responding. How do I feel when I take this? And joy is a huge component of that, isn't it? If you keep taking something just because you're supposed to, but it doesn't taste good, it doesn't fill you with joy, it doesn't fill you with energy, you're probably not going to stick with it anyway, are you?
No, not at all. You have to. It's like feeding your soul. You have to.
That's beautiful.
And one of the things I also talk about with a lot of my clients and friends and different people, food, we think of just food, as a, we're eating our fruits and vegetables and our protein and this and that. Something else that comes into play is temperature of food. And this is a little bit off of what we're talking about, but then again, maybe not, because one of the things that I found 2 years ago, for a long time, I was eating a lot of salads. And salads, mainly the ingredients were in their fridge, and it was cold. And I had an Eastern doctor say to me, I was getting acupuncture, he said, try and warm up your food, see how you feel.
Very Ayurvedic.
Yes. Made a huge difference for me.
It's interesting that you say that, because I went all raw at one point. Like, I was a vegetarian, and that didn't work so well. Then I went all raw, and that really didn't work so well. But I saw everybody else doing it, and I thought, I'm going to try this.
Exactly.
I got so sick. And that is where, Ayurveda is something that I love. I love the philosophy. It works based upon everybody's different body type. I'm a Vata, if you can't tell. I'm usually firmly grounded in midair. But the truth is, it's all about listening to you. We're all individual. What works for you doesn't necessarily work for me. And also, what's in season. But all raw, that's great for some people. Mm-hmm. We had Christina Fully Raw in here. She lives all raw. It works great for her. For me, I felt terrible. So again, that's really about listening to your body. So what have you found works for you?
What works for me, as I said earlier, is eating throughout the day, having protein for me with every meal, every snack, whatever I have.
And you said you're not a meat, so
Not
other
a meat,
kinds of protein.
Other protein. I do eat chicken and fish, turkey. I love all seafood. I'll have tofu. I'm great with legumes. I have a lot of nuts. I have a lot of fruits and vegetables, and I eat that throughout the day.
What about the joy? What about the joy part? I know we had Leona on here, the functional nutritionist, and one thing we talked about, staying away from deprivation. So what do you do I think you do the 80-20 rule?
I do the 80-20 rule. I am also lucky in the respect that I always enjoyed eating healthy. But, hey, I love dark chocolate, and I'll never give up wine or tequila.
He usually says, bring that dark chocolate in.
Joy. If I want it, I'm going to have it. I'm not going to deprive myself, but I'm not going to sit there and eat, a whole chunk of dark chocolate. And that was time finding a balance of that too, because when I was younger, there was a time I couldn't pull back. I never had an eating disorder, but I understand how somebody could.
Well, I think it's also really important. We talk about this a lot. At midlife, you can get away with a lot of things when you're, 15, 20, 25.
Absolutely.
When you hit, say, 40, for me, it's when the wheels started coming off. it's like the universe forces you to become more mindful and really start turning within and tuning within. And David, you're a big believer of that. I would imagine what you eat has really transitioned over the years, and now that you've become this sort of fitness energetic guru, really a powerful mentor for others. But it's true. I mean, look at, you got the arms there. It's true. People go. Why do they go to Ageist?
We're cool.
We're cool.
Yeah, it's empowering.
Yeah, it's empowering. It's
inspiring.
It's aspirational.
Yeah.
We're framing things aspirationally. I think
Exactly.
You know, I used to love tarte tatin, which is
Tart.
which is the kind of upside down French apple pie thing. Now I don't eat that anymore.
You've moved on to pizza.
Once a week, Friday night is pizza binge night. Over at our household, pizza binge night. And it's, as I said last week, I have engaged in a number of crackpot eating schemes over
Haven't we all?
the decades. And so now it's like things have gotten really simple. It's like my food is it's very simple. It's not very complicated. I don't eat in restaurants much anymore because I like eating with friends. I like going out, but then I look at if I eat that, there are consequences to that. But actually the heating thing, my smoothie is almost hot.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Soothing.
The kale that I put in it, I steam the kale, and I put the hot kale in because the raw kale doesn't work for me so well. And then I pour the water out of the thing into the smoothie. So the whole thing is kind of steamy, when I eat the thing. But it feels like it just, I know hey, I'm going to eat this thing. This is actually pretty yummy. A lot of raw chocolate in that.
Mm-hmm.
Cacao.
Gotta
do that. Yeah.
Gotta have that.
And that works for me.
Well, I think you have to know live enzymes are very important. It's very important to get some things into our bodies that really are alive, probiotics, prebiotics, all kinds of things. But the truth is, certain things actually digest differently when we cook them.
Yep.
Be it spinach, like you said, kale, things transform. So that's really, I actually haven't heard somebody do that. There are some smoothie places around here that you can get warm smoothies. I used to cook some of the vegetables before I put them in. I'd saute them and then I'd put them in.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anyone actually put hot. Well, I think it's a brilliant shortcut, really.
Well,
Yeah, when I make smoothies at home, it's always room temperature. I never have it. I'm finding that room temperature and not overly hot, but room temperature soothes me.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Our digestive system, right? It's when you I'm drinking cold water right now. A lot of people will have room temperature now because it really shuts down. It contracts our digestive system, and our food and nutrients are only as good as what we're really digesting and getting into our cells. So I think that's super important. One thing I want to mention, I think I mentioned it to you, maybe Julie, in there. Mm-hmm. You profiled a woman on Ageist. We've talked to her many times about her, Trisha Cusden.
Oh yeah, Trisha, sure.
69, I think she's going to be here. I believe she's 69. Right. She is coming here, going to be boots on the ground in February. She just got her makeup in the Oscar bags, which is so cool. I can't wait to share that.
Right on.
But I happen to read Trisha's newsletter, Look Fabulous Forever, regularly. At 69, she's such a role model and such an inspiration, as are you, the Ageist newsletter. So Trisha just posted this week at 69, she got a personal trainer for the first time.
Right.
She hit the gym for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really inspirational because I think a lot of people out there, no matter what your age, Mike was showing me, my business manager was showing me an article on a woman over 100 that gets up at 4 in the morning and, does her prayers and hits the track. And over 100 running races. And she didn't start until she was, it was like her son trained her, and she was close to 100, I think, when she started, maybe 90 or something.
Well, you don't actually, so correct me if I'm wrong here, you probably know this better, but, as we age, there are two muscle fibers. We have the type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is your kind of strength, power muscles. And we don't actually lose them as we get older. They stay there, but they atrophy.
They break down or atrophy.
So you can, it's not like they've gone. Mm-hmm. They're there, but you can activate them. So we talked.
Well said. No, it's perfect. You have the two types. And
yeah, you need to build I read a lot of this stuff, and to me, really, it's absolutely essential to do what Trish is doing, which is building muscle mass in the gym, and it's not about turning into the Hulk.
Exactly.
No, we start
exactly.
losing muscle mass. Basically, starting at I believe it's 30, but we start losing 5% of our muscle mass once we turn 30. And that's every decade.
Yeah.
And that can be disempowering to think about, but there's actually power in the fact that you have
incredible
control
power. Again,
over that.
it goes back to control.
Right.
And a little goes a long way. It's not, I had a client who is 93 years old. When I started with her, she could not get out of the chair on her own because she hadn't used her muscles.
Right.
She, had an accident, she fell, and she thought she couldn't.
Right.
Literally within 2.5 months, I was getting her down on the floor and right back up, and then we were doing these little square chair squats. It was amazing. She was now self-sufficient again.
See, I think it's
So
really
we have that memory.
It's really important. You were talking about that in the UK. Like half the people can't get out of the chair.
Half the women over 50
half
in
the
the
women
UK
over
cannot get out of the sofa without using their arms.
And
Isn't that interesting? Wow.
So there's Trisha, okay, 69 years old, first time ever hitting the gym. I know my mom, I was an aerobics instructor. She started in her 60s too. So it doesn't matter what age you are out there. Physical fitness is an important, component of our entire health and wellness, but it really has an impact on our well-being and our self-confidence, doesn't it?
Well, I think you get two things there, right? So if you feel strong mental, or let me say this, if you do not feel fragile, right, in your body, you're going to feel more assertive out in the world. The other part to that is the thing that's going to kill you is you fall in and you break your hip, or you fall in and you can't get up, or you don't have you're picking something up and it falls on you or something, or suddenly you need to have all these people around you to help you do stuff. So that to me is people talk about this in terms of a little bit, esoterical. It's really not. It's really just about I need so much strength to take this thing and pick this up. I need to pick my kid up. I need to pull my dog out of the garbage. I need to put this thing up here. How do I do that? So you need a certain amount of strength to do that. And as you were saying, you lose 5%. If you don't do anything, you lose 5%. Now, you're not just losing the muscle, because you lose the muscle, you're not picking stuff up, so your bones are getting weak.
Your bones.
So your bones are shrinking, your tendons.
Your mind, too.
Everything.
Exactly.
All,
Your mind,
it's all
too.
connected.
Yep.
Weight training affects the mind.
Yeah.
And
affects the brain.
what have you seen? And the one thing I want to really key in, because Julie, you're such a beautiful example, and so are you, David. And I think people can look at you and feel like, oh God, I can't do that, or they can choose to look at you and go, oh God, I can do that. Like, you guys are role models over 50, killing it out there, and continually reinventing yourself. And like you said, the physical wellness, it changes your energy, it changes your belief system, it changes your mindset about what you can do, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it has to. And that's where, we're in this big push of mind, body, spirit now, where it's very true. It's a circle. It all feeds into each other. And I agree with what David said. If you feel strong in your body, it gives you this mental boost, this confidence. You kicks in the endorphins, and then you start feeling better. You're connecting with people, which feeds your spirit. And that's key, because basically we have secondary food and primary food. Our primary food is this, it's us. We can put, as you said earlier, all the best nutrients in our body, but if we don't have interaction, if we're not happy in our lives, our relationships, our careers, our families, our friends, if we don't have any of that, then...
Connection is everything, and confidence is a huge part of things. And I want to just mention, I know I started the show thanking our sponsor, Madison Reed. Madison Reed, the reason we align with certain companies and we have long-term partnerships with these companies, the reason I love Madison Reed, I was a baby blogger when I linked arms with them, and they believed in me. And what that did for me, in a big national brand reaching out and linking arms with me, this baby blogger, sort of a nobody, then I looked at them. I'd seen them all over. But what they're really about, they're a hair color products company that removes the toxic chemicals, and we'll get into that too on really the toxins are, negative thought toxins, but also the physical toxins. But more importantly, they're really about building confidence in a woman through their hair color company. All their messaging is about love and embracing a woman and getting a woman to embrace and believe in themselves. So you guys check out Madison Reed. Madison Reed is a company I believe in, a company that has believed in me, that really lifted my own belief system about myself. So check them out online, madisonreed.com. They are an amazing, amazing company. And I want to go back to that thought about confidence and how important that is. And it comes sort of a catch-22 because we can lack confidence, and then when we do something, like you can hold yourself back, I can't do it, and our confidence kind of goes down. And it's when we actually start doing things, we start taking steps forward.
That's right.
That's how we build confidence, isn't it?
Well, as somebody told me once, they said you cannot think yourself into right acting, but you can act yourself into right thinking. So by taking the action, your thinking changes, and I find that works much better for me.
That's very Tony Robbins. We
Is it?
talk. Yeah, it's very. I love Tony. I love Tony. Right? Our company is Tony, and Tony, the energy of that man.
Yeah.
Everything he talks about is
it.
energy, and it's all about shifting our energy. And when we shift our mindset, and when we start taking steps, and I think that's what's so empowering about this show, because there's a natural sort of cultural belief system. When you hit midlife, you are to be invisible. You are seen as not relevant. You are seen as not to be a productive member of society. And there was an article written by, I think I shared it in your Aegis community and ours, by an MIT professor who wrote a book on longevity. And he talks about the future is female, and it's female over 50. And why is that? We're literally we're CEOs, of our entire households, right?
Right.
So we have all these capabilities.
Absolutely.
And then we go through divorces or we become empty nesters, and we go out there in the world, and the world projects onto us that we're not relevant. But it can be very empowering, because all we have to do, what you just said, start doing things differently. Get out there and act. Get out there and take action to build that confidence and change your own belief system, because we don't have to buy into that, do we?
I mean, if I was starting a Fortune 500 company, I would hire a 55-year-old woman who raised 4 kids. This person has time management skill.
We got cheers going over here.
Cheers in our audience, right?
Crowd.
Like
that is amazing.
They
right?
understand how to get a bunch of people in a line, get them moving forward without alienating each other. They get this in a way that a guy won't. I think the other thing is that, a guy, we're kind of meant to we're just programmed to achieve at higher and higher levels. So that's unsustainable. Like at a certain point, you just can't do that. And the women that I have the same experience. You find, women in their mid-50s, and they're just game on.
It's crazy, isn't it?
What you got?
Ready to go.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Second
Like Tricia
stage.
said, you're not who you think I am.
I'm
At the
not
Google
who you
name.
think I am.
I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
who
all
you
that.
think I am. And I think
Second stage of our life, this next chapter is, okay, embrace it. What can we bring? Now
Right.
it's our turn. What can we
Exactly.
bring to the table?
Yep.
And we're doing it.
And individually, I think it's really important. Well, the collective, when we're linking arms and helping lift one another, but as
Absolutely.
individuals, we each have our own path. We each have our own, limitations. Like you said, it could be, I can't run anymore. But all that does, it might close one door.
Right.
But what we need to do is look at what doors are opening.
You find the solution.
You find
Right.
Because there
you
is a
find
solution.
there-
You just need to find it.
we always have to go
Yeah,
around. One
exactly.
door opens, another one,
Yep.
one door closes, another one opens.
Right.
And I think, Julie, you've been so beautiful and real about your own story. One thing this show is really about is fierce reinvention. One thing Aegis is about, showing people that are doing incredible fierce reinvention. So you were in a fashion career, correct?
I was in the fashion career, and I chose to switch over into fitness.
And what age were you?
I was 31.
And
I reinvented myself in fitness.
And what was it like for you? Because I think there are a lot of women out there right now, women, men, that want to reinvent themselves. But I remember a conversation with my son when he was 20, and he said, if I can't do this, I can't do anything. This is it. My life is over. And I do think we can buy into that mindset of, I've had this my whole life. Okay, how many years you were in fashion, but there's a pivot point. Something happened in your life and redirected you in a bigger way from the inside. Okay, this is not for me. Something bigger is for me. But there's a process we have to go through internally to shift and learn new skills. And like you said, you came in here, technology. There are always hurdles and there are always obstacles. Reinvention is a fabulous thing, but know along with that come hurdles, right? Internal and external.
Absolutely. I think I'm in the process of reinventing myself right now.
Share.
Because I went, in my 30s, I went from fashion to fitness. Now I am growing, I'm in fitness, and I embrace the fitness world, but it's become so much more to me in the last 3 or 4 years. Now it's about health, nutrition, wellness. I'm bringing in health coaching. I want to talk to women and with my clients about what they can do to feel more empowered. It's through fashion, it's through mindset, it's through spirituality. So bringing all of that in this package, and I'm reinventing myself, and I'm learning things about the internet, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just a scary
It's so not
monster.
fair. We didn't
I
grow
know
up with
what
this,
I
right?
know. I want to stick to this, but no, I have to learn this. I have to get out there. And I have a best friend who has just really been an inspiration to me because she's done that. And she's inspired me in that way. And I think that's key too, finding somebody who inspires you.
A mentor.
A mentor who can, you can feed off of, or, they could be in a completely different industry, but they inspire you. And then aligning yourself with the right people. Some of the projects I have going on right now is with people whose skills are completely different from mine.
Well, one of the projects you wanted to mention was the Fine Line. If you go onto your website, you see some amazing things. There's amazing videos. There's obviously incredible photography. And one project you're working on is with Sue of the Fine Line. You guys have a fitness video out there, correct?
Yes, I am their go-to fitness expert for this year, and we're having a blast with it. We're starting out somewhat simple in getting people to get excited about fitness in their 40s, 50s on up, especially people who've never done it, and getting them think of it as a fun thing. It's not,
Well, it's also a bonding thing, like you said. You're surrounded with other people, and
yes.
that alone, that connection, that community. I would imagine that has an enormous impact. If you were to go by yourself and do this,
yes,
it's a whole different experience, isn't it?
It is. I've been on my own for so many years in this business, and now I'm in a place where I'm ready to collaborating with you, collaborating with the Fine Line, which is just, opens up so many doors. I collaborate with Burn 60. I've been an instructor there for 11, 12 years, and we have our own little community.
A little pack.
It's a little pack, and what's great about that, what I love about that and my classes there is I'll have a 20-year-old on the treadmill, and then over here I'll have a 70-year-old, and right in between is a pro athlete, and they're all going to walk out having an amazing workout for their level, because we do all levels in one class, and feeling great, high-fiving each other, saying this was awesome, and getting that inspiration from each other.
It changes your energy. And David, you are the king of community and connection. I mean, the Aegis community is a fabulous community. If you guys are looking for something at Midlife and Beyond to really inspire you, you use the word aspirational. There's inspiration, there's aspiration. It's like these people set an incredible bar, but there's also a community around you, isn't there? And how important is that?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's my favorite thing.
Like, we couldn't do this alone, right?
I got to tell
Or
you.
you wouldn't want to.
We send out a newsletter every Thursday morning, and by Thursday at noon, I have all this incoming mail, right? And, 90% of it is like, you're awesome, you're great. 10% of it is hate mail.
Always going to get that.
Delete. There always is going to be that.
But I love the hate mail.
You do.
The hate mail.
Oh, that's a
It's
new
my
perspective.
Favorite part, because what'll happen is someone will say like, well, we get the most.
Yeah, give me an example.
Okay.
What's an example? I can't imagine you getting hate mail, but okay.
Every week we get hate mail. So there was we did a sculptor. The person was upset because the sculptor's arms they felt were too big, and he was spending too much time in the gym. And the reality is the guy picks up big heavy rocks all day, and that's why his arms look like that. But you read the email, and really it was a woman, and she was just really kind of she just really wanted to be acknowledged, and paid attention to, and said like, hey, I understand. And so we had a couple email exchanges, and then, by email 3, she's a super fan. Because
you helped to change a mindset.
Well, it's just saying like,
Okay.
hey, I see you. I get it. I mean, I know where you're coming from. I see why you would think that way, but this is the reality, and I'm really sorry if we fell short here, and we didn't serve you in this way. And my partners think I'm crazy to take all this time to like engage like this, but I love it. It's the community is really only as strong as its weakest members.
That's powerful.
You know what I mean?
What you came at was a space of compassion and empathy.
And empathy, right.
And everyone wants to be acknowledged.
Everybody wants to be acknowledged, and we move as a group, and we only move as fast as the slowest person's moving. So it's up to me as the leader of the group to like identify that person and be like, okay, so what's going on? What do you need today? Let's see how we can move this way.
That's an amazing quality, and that excuse me, isn't always easy to achieve. I have my own community, and I know God, my voice today. We had a woman post the other day. It was the head of Vogue in Japan. Sorry, my voice is really going. The head of Vogue in Japan, and she was in I think she's 55. She was in a short black leather mini dress. Excuse me, guys. And some of the women were really cheering her on for this age and this rock star. She looked amazing to me. And some people were like, who does she think she is? Like Lindsay Lohan, doesn't she look too young? And you do have to entertain all of them. But by the same token, I know my community stands for women uplifting women.
Right.
Yes.
So if you come in and you start attacking, there's something different. You can express an opinion. So we're able to expand mindsets, because when we express opinions, that is really the only way we can shift perception. But we need to do it in a really positive, respectful way versus an attack, because
I don't care.
You look at it in a different way. Yeah,
it's all right, because it's like if somebody says that, I'm not familiar with that, the one for Vogue and the leather miniskirt, but I can just imagine what the emails would be. And so what's that really about?
Right. It's never about that person.
It's never about that. It's
never about
that
person
saying they can't dress like that, or they would feel awkward like that.
Something is triggering inside of them, because
and address that.
And
exactly.
the truth is, did she feel good in that mini dress?
And what is most important?
That's what's important. Did she feel good? And there's also that fun with fashion that in the old days, what you could and couldn't do once you hit 30, 40, 50. And we're going past that.
We're making new rules. I mean, that really is that's the whole gig between the Forever Fierce, the ageist community. Like you said, we're breaking the rules. We're putting a new frame on midlife. And before we go, I know we're getting close to the end of the hour. We got about a minute left. I want to make sure that people out there, I imagine you've inspired a lot of women out there, a lot of men, women, probably all ages, because you got Madonna arms right here. But more importantly,
check this out.
Yeah, I know. It's the heart and soul, though, that is so beautiful to me. So, Julie, tell people real quickly, where do they go to find you? If they want to work with you, if they want to check out your website, if they want to see these videos that you're doing, if they want to link arms with you, where do they find you?
JulieDiamondFitness.com is the best way to find me.
Instagram, Facebook, at Julie Diamond Fitness?
Yes, Julie Diamond Fitness. Facebook, Julie Diamond. And if you go onto the Fine Line magazine, you'll see some of my videos with Sue. You can also find me at Burn 60. I teach 4 classes in Brentwood.
And you do personal training here in LA. If you guys are lucky enough to be here, boots on the ground.
And health coaching in LA, and that encompasses, fitness. It encompasses health, wellness, nutrition. We do the entire gambit of what your lifestyle is, what your goals are, and where you want to move forward.
Well, no doubt you have inspired a lot of people out there. So, Julie Diamond, we are so grateful to you to have had you on today. And I know we'll be, having you back. And certainly you and I will be staying in touch in our community. And David, co-founder of Ageist, you can find him. Ageist newsletter, sign up, agei.st. Also Instagram, also Facebook. And David will be back here as a regular, as you know, Diet Coke in hand. So you guys, thank you so much. Thanks to our sponsor, Madison Reed. Thanks to every one of you guys for tuning in. And just know this month is all about a new year and a fierce new you. So cheers, beauties. Stay fierce.